Are you addicted to your problems? Here's one of those ones that I think is fascinating to witness. Because most people truly want to change. I think that is true. They do. Because, well, if your life isn't where you want it to be, if you aren't happy with what is transpiring, if you look at it and go, oh, I could be more, I could do more, I could achieve more. Well, for starters, that's a good place to be. You need to look at it and be like, I am unhappy with where I'm at. I'm unhappy with the situation I've gotten myself into. And as I said before, the greatest and most powerful moment in your life is when you look at your life and go, this is all my fault. Because that is the reality of the situation. Wherever you are at in your life is all your fault. It is also the most empowering day. Because the second you admit that this is all your fault, the second that you take ownership of the situation, you've also set yourself free. Because within that statement is, well, it's fully within my control. It's fully within my control to change my circumstances, to do something different, to build a new life, to build a better life, to build the life I want. Realizing that it's all your fault is a freeing situation. But the rub becomes when, well, you're addicted to your problems. And I see actually a lot of people who are this way. They are defined by their problems. Their life is defined by their victim mentality. I have this situation, this problem, this issue. And that's why I am the way I am. That's why my life is the way it is. And they want to stay stuck. They're addicted to the issue because it gives them a way out. It gives them, a scapegoat. Something to blame for this situation. It gives them an opportunity to, negate doing the work. Because if it's someone else's fault, if it's something else's fault, if it's, this problem, this situation, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm unfit, I'm bad genetics, bad situation, I can't change. Well, yeah, you've just abdicated your responsibility. And while you're addicted to your problems, it's much easier to define your life and live by that, going, oh, well, woe is me. Instead of going, well, how can I change? How can I do better, be better, step up and make choices? But you don't actually want the opportunity to improve. You don't want the opportunity to be a better version of yourself. You don't want the opportunity to make, uncomfortable decisions. Because for as long as you're addicted to the problem, the situation, you can argue night and day that this is how it is. And I find more often than not, people will argue for their limitations. They'll argue for their excuses. They'll argue why it's not the same for them. Instead of going, well, maybe it's not identical situation, but how can I learn from this person? How can I improve based on what this person is saying? It always makes me laugh. I had a comment the other day and the guy was like, oh, here's another jerk off spouting how easy it is with perfect genetics and all the time in the world to do these things. He probably doesn't have any responsibilities. Cool, man. You can believe that if you want. But have you ever noticed that people who are actually out there doing stuff, people who are actually achieving things, who are pushing themselves forward, they don't go on other people's videos and comment. They don't argue for their limitations. They go to people who have the things that they want and they go, how do I get what you have? And I will be the first to admit that I was an arrogant little snot-nosed child once. who believed falsehoods. You know, when I was in my 20s, I used to spout, everybody's got the same amount of time. You just need to make harsh decisions. You need to make a decision on your life. And I was that guy. I had all the time in the world. I was running my gym, and I had no responsibilities other than turning up, training people, making sure they excelled, and then working out, living my life. I didn't have anything on the table. My wife worked at the time, and, you know, I remember looking back on, you know, the ridiculousness of it. On Sundays, me and my mate would sit on the couch and we'd have cheat days. God, it was stupid. It was fucking ridiculous. But the things you can get away with in your 20s. And from sun up till sundown, we would stuff our faces. We would eat everything and anything. Like, I'm talking, there's probably 10,000 calories consumed across that day. But it was fine because, you know, we would fast the next day and, you know, go into a calorie deficit, and we were refeeding. Fucking ridiculous shit. And that's just how life was. And it was easier. But that's not a reality situation. And I was talking to people who had actual responsibilities. And then you grow the fuck up. And you have kids. And you work full time. Like, actually, truly work full time. And suddenly, to get your workout is a definitive choice. To get the workout and make it a reality is, well, giving up some other time at a different point to make that happen. So yeah, I have been that arrogant shit, but I'm not at the moment. Not now. I've got 2 kids, under 5. They're 3 and 4 years old. I work full time in my gym. I do this as well, and I still figure out the time to work out twice a day. Where does that time come from? The sedation time. As people love to talk about, oh, well, what about spending time with your family? I am probably one of the luckiest men on the planet when it comes to that. I get to spend so much quality time with my kids and my wife every single day. I am truly blessed beyond measure on that factor. I don't take away time from that to work out. I either get up early and do it, or I include them to make it part of it. So my weighted walks are more often than not including my family. I chuck my kids on the bike and I push them and I load the weight the fuck up. I make it heavy and we just go. I am not going to sacrifice time with my family to make sure that I am strong, fit and healthy. But I am damn sure going to make sure I figure that out, because it is my duty, my honor, and my obligation to be in the greatest shape possible for them, to lead by example, to show them what is possible. My kids begged me to join me to work out. They were like, can we go to your gym and work out? It is ingrained into them as a normality. I'm not addicted to my excuses. I am not addicted to my problems. I make it part of our life. And I am not going to sacrifice other areas to allow me the opportunity to do that. And people want to argue for their limitations though. They're like, well, I don't have time. I'd rather spend time with my family. Cool. Include them in it. Sacrifice some sleep. Stop watching so much TV or doom scrolling or whatever the fuck you're doing with your time, because I can promise you, unless you are working 16 hours a day, you have time. You have time and the capacity. You are choosing not to, because you'd rather fight for your limitations. You'd rather fight for your problems. You'd rather fight to stay stuck than recognize that maybe you'll have to sacrifice a little bit to be a better version of yourself. You might have to sacrifice a little bit to do the things that actually fucking matter. You're addicted to your problems. You're addicted to staying stuck. Staying in a place that you don't want to be. As I said, the most brutal day and the most empowering day at the same time is the day that you recognize that all of your problems are your fault. Therefore, they're well within your capacity to fix it. So if you aren't happy with your life, if you don't like where you have ended up, you can fix it. You can change it. It might take time. It might take effort. It might take a sacrifice of things that you don't want to sacrifice. But you are capable of reaching that point. You are capable of doing things that will build you into the life you want. The question becomes, how much value do you place on it? Because here's one that's always a slap in the face. And even for myself, that there are times where I'm like, oh, well, I'm not where I want to be. Yeah, my life is great. I have lots of things to be incredibly grateful for. But my life has not reached the point where I am satisfied. I am pushing for more. It comes back to that Ed Milet one that I always love. It's the blissfully dissatisfied. I can be grateful as all hell for what I've achieved and built. I can be grateful for the blessings I have in this life. But also, I can want more from this life. I can be pushing and striving for more at all times. To achieve more, to do more, to be more. I'm not going to argue for my excuses. I'm not going to argue as to why I'm still in this position. No, I'm going to get out there and figure it the fuck out. But you want to argue for why you don't have time to work out. You're going to argue for the time of why you can't be in great shape. You want to argue for why you can't have and do the things that you want to do. Or you could use that energy to figure it out. As I said, I think it's your duty, your honor, and obligation to be in great fucking shape. You've got children? Even more so. There is no excuse for you not to be in great shape, for you to not look after your health, to not do the things that are required. Include them in it. Teach them. Lead by example. Show them that this is normal. Show them that this is healthy. Show them in a world that wants to celebrate unhealthiness, that wants to celebrate sedation and avoidance and sickness, that being strong, fit, and healthy and the capacity to do anything the fuck you want at any moment is where you should be in life. Show them this by including them in it. Never sacrifice your time with your children or your wife for being in shape. Sacrifice the things that are fucking unimportant. Sacrifice your sedation. Hell, and even if you are already one of those people who have given up so much, sacrifice a little bit of sleep. I saw one the other day when they were talking about it, and it's like, I would rather sacrifice a bit of sleep to make sure I am the strong, fit, and capable man for my children than sacrifice time with them. No, I will not give up time with my children and my wife to be in shape, to do the things that I need to do to be the best version of myself. They don't deserve that. They deserve the best version of me. So I give up the things that are unimportant so that I can be the best version of myself. Because the important things are quality time with my kids. But that does not mean you get to be addicted to that excuse. It does not mean that you get to abdicate your responsibility by saying, well, I spend time with my children. Great. As you should. As you fucking should. But it does not mean that you get to neglect the thing that serves you, the thing that allows you to be this version of you. You don't get to neglect the vehicle that allows you to show up for them. Your body, your health, your fitness. That is a requirement of being the greatest version of yourself. You don't get to use them as the excuse. Oh, well, I'm not healthy, I'm not fit, I'm not strong and capable because of you. I got fat because of you. What a complete dick move to your family and your children. To blame them for your lack of integrity. To blame them for your lack of accountability. No, you made those choices. You did, not them. You chose sedation and ease and comfort over doing the work that is necessary to be the greatest version of yourself. They had nothing to do with it. Yes, you should spend time with them. Yes, you should spend as much time and quality time with your family as humanly possible. But you don't get to blame them for your excuses and your addiction to mediocrity. If anything, you should use them as inspiration. That should be your driving force to be the greatest version of yourself. So it is time to break your addictions to your problems. It's time to break the addiction to your excuses and step forward and start demanding greatness of yourself.